Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
At issue has been a development and lease agreement between the port and YTK for the valuable Hotel Wharf, signed more than 15 years ago. YTK has never been able to develop the facility and in ensuing years has been battling with the port over execution of the contract and its value. The dispute wound up in arbitration, and a three-member panel determined the value of the contract was $14 million, a decision later upheld by Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola. But in his appeal, Port Legal Counsel Mike Phillips says he will ask, among other things, that the court address the Sokola ruling that the original agreement was illegal. He will argue again that the lease term should have been for 5 years, not 9 consecutive 5-year terms or 45 years as signed with YTK.
The Supreme Court, for whatever reason, didn't touch that. They let that stand and they said, well, let it go before the arbitrators. And so that's what happened. And we believe that at the very least that one issue needs to be resolved by the Supreme Court.
But in a letter to board members, YTK Representative Jay Lather states that the Supreme Court has already held that the lease was valid, and that's why it sent it to arbitration in the first place. He questions why the High Court would now change its mind. Lather further points out that the company had attempted several times to negotiate a settlement, at one point for, quote, pennies on the dollar, but the port declined. Lather blames port management and counsel for what he calls mishandling the Hotel Wharf issue for years. Phillips now says it would be wrong not to challenge the award because he believes it could impact all arbitration proceedings in the future.
It's hardly a resolution when somebody's claiming, $600,000 in damages and over a year or two ends up in an arbitration award of, approximately $14 million. That's not a resolution. That's a windfall. And so I believe that the Supreme Court will likely work through that. And whichever way they go, I think that they will explain in a pretty detailed manner why this works.
While Phillips estimates the issue could be wrapped up within a year, Lather in a news release urged the port not to pay any more money in legal fees and interest for legal advice that he says has already been held wrong by the arbitrators and courts. He called on the port to settle the arbitration award now before it grows larger and impedes port development. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.